I just don't love you anymore. I'm sorry, but we're going to have to do some restructuring, and your department is being downsized. We're going to have to let you go. We did all that we could do. There was nothing more. I'm so sorry for that loss. These are all examples of when life happens unexpectedly. Mr. Toastmaster, fellow Toastmasters, honored guests, life happened to me too. 20 years ago, I received that phone call from my doctor. And he said those 3 little words that no one ever wants to hear. You have cancer. My immediate reaction was, not me. Total denial. But my doctor, my gynecologist told me that that lump that I found was nothing to be concerned about. He said it was a glandular reaction to medication that he had put me on, and I was overreacting. Well, I kept going back for 2 solid months. I kept saying, something's wrong. Please, can I at least have a mammogram? And he said, Sherry, really? He gave me the same speech every time. You're only 34 years old. You don't have a history of cancer in your family. You're overreacting. It'll go away, I promise, by itself. Well, it didn't. That lump that I found went from pea size to quarter size in a matter of 2 months. And eventually, he finally agreed, I'll let you have the mammogram. Well, that mammogram eventually developed into an actual diagnosis. It was a malignant tumor, and now it was going to require surgery. What could have been prevented by just a simple lumpectomy, if it had only been diagnosed in the very beginning, would not have required a 5.5-hour procedure. I honestly can tell you that if I did not have my faith in God, my supportive family and friends, and my positive mental attitude that I tried to keep through the whole ordeal, I wouldn't be standing right here in front of you today. I actually had an opportunity to share my story at a civic group recently. I love that. With Breast Cancer Awareness Month, it was my opportunity to give back. I finished my part of the program. I went actually to sit in my seat in the front. The president of the organization came forward, and she started to conduct the meeting. All of a sudden, from the back of the room behind me, was a male voice that spoke up, loud, boisterous, angry, demanding that he ask a question of the speaker. Well, I was kind of startled. The president came to me and said, would you mind answering his question? I said, absolutely. So I quickly came to the front and looked out over the sea of women and the one male member standing in the back of the room. He stood. He was tall and rugged, red in the face, angry, pointing his finger at me, and he said, I have one question. Did you slap the heck out of that doctor and get Well, there was not a single bit of oxygen left in the room because every woman inhaled all at once. But I couldn't help but laugh because I saw them all sitting on the edge of their seat, waiting to hear, did she deck the doc? Well, I laughed out loud, and I said, sir, I am so glad you asked me that question. As a matter of fact, I ran literally head-on into that doctor 6 months after my surgery. It wasn't planned, but we were at an office building, and he was leaving, and I was coming in, and he recognized me immediately, and he said, so how did that mammogram turn out? Well, I was startled. I thought for sure he had been kept in the loop, but he hadn't. So we sat down with a couple of chairs facing each other in the lobby, and I proceeded to tell him the details. I said, you know, the mammogram turned into another mammogram, into a needle biopsy, and then a surgical biopsy. And at that point, I had a diagnosis. It was a malignant tumor and would require surgery. Well then, before I could make up my mind what to do, I found another lump on the other side. I sought a second opinion. That surgeon sat me down and said, I have some bad news. You're looking at a metastatic condition here. The cancer's spread, fast growing, fast spreading. It may be in your brain, your bone, your lungs. We're expecting to find it throughout your body when we go in to do the surgery. You're going to probably have a double mastectomy to deal with. Months of chemo and radiation therapy, depending on what we find. But miraculously, when I went in for surgery, there was no cancer to be found. I was thrilled. I'm looking at the doctor, and he held both of my hands, and he said, Sherry, I'm so, so sorry. You had to go through that. That was his way of asking me to forgive him. I had a decision to make. I could either hold on to that anger and hold it against him, or I could forgive. Buddha once said, holding on to anger is like drinking poison and expecting the other person to die. Medically and scientifically, it's been proven that if you do not get rid of unresolved negative emotions, it will affect your immune system, where you will not be able to even fight disease or prevent disease. I didn't have that luxury. I wanted to stay cancer-free. Plus, I knew it was the right thing. So I chose to forgive. Let me challenge you today that next time you have an opportunity for life to happen, don't blame someone. Make the right choice.